Hi everyone and welcome. In this recording I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming great conjunction taking place on the 21st of December 2020. This horoscope is brought to you by onemillionnights.com. Now you have probably heard me and any other astrologer out there speak about this very important celestial event many times before, and that is because it is so very important, because this is what actually turns things around. This is what actually opens the gates to the future for all of us, both collectively and individually. Now, a great conjunction represents the meeting of Jupiter and Saturn in the sky, and this astrological event takes place every 20 years, and every time it happens, their meeting opens up a new paradigm, it opens up a new karmic theme, which is going to be playing out in that 20-year cycle. So basically the sign where it takes place, it acts like a pitching fork, giving the overall tone for the next 20-year cycle. Now this year's great conjunction is a little bit special for a couple of different reasons. Well, one of those reasons is the degree it takes place in. So it takes place in 0 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. And this is pretty special because a 0 degree of any sign represents a powerful new beginning. It represents the next, the new, something which we have never ever experienced before. And this is perfectly true even if we look at humanity as a collective. So something that no one has ever experienced before is pretty special. And also 0 represents a state of purity. It represents a childlike innocence, but also a massive quantum leap, so to speak, where we descend into new territory, something that no one has ever explored before. And we also have this beginner's luck. And the fact that we lack experience, that we have to experiment and perceive all of this new for the first time, is actually something really good. Because it basically allows us to have an open mind and an open heart and embrace the new, embrace the future with a lot of hope and optimism in our hearts. Because amongst other things, Aquarius is also the symbol of our hopes and dreams and the future. Now another reason why this great conjunction is that special, well, it's because in the last 200 years, the majority of great conjunctions, so every 20 years, took place in earth signs, except one for 1981, if I remember correctly, when it took place in the air sign of Libra. But anyway, the overall tone of the energies were those of earth, so earthly, dense, heavy, super concentrated. So it comes as no surprise that in the past 200 years, humanity as a collective needed to work with, material things. For example, one of the most positive expressions of this is technology. We found ways to find practical applications to our intelligence, to the power of our minds. So basically, we as a collective, humankind as a species, found ingenious ways on how to give an earthly expression, how to manifest their theories, the product of their intelligence, the product of their contemplation, philosophies, and of course to tap into some of the secrets of nature, as in the earth element. So naturally, technology made our lives easier. It revolutionized and changed so very many areas of our lives. But we were also challenged by the not so favorable expression of the element of earth, the specific earthly energies. And this played out as, earthly power, money, riches, values, property, sense of ownership, sense of also belonging, survival mentality played a massive and powerful role. So basically it shaped our political systems, it shaped our perceptions, it shaped our education, it shaped everything in our lives. And especially in the past, detachment or simply finding a means to get outside this heavy material cycle was not that easy. So basically a lot of people found themselves, symbolically speaking, enslaved. And in the last 3 years, after Saturn moved into its home sign of Capricorn, we could feel the shadow expression of this energy, the symbolism of Capricorn, that much stronger. The sign of Capricorn, and especially Saturn, its ruling planet in it, is all about power. It is all about control, centralized power, governments, big corporations, the hierarchical ladder, the leaders, people who have to represent us, making life-changing choices in our names. And sometimes in a rather abusive way where we have no choice other than to comply with the rules, comply with the decisions. And of course, Capricorn is also responsible for our careers, for example, what we do down here on earth, what we do with our earthly lives, our life path, our specializations, our masteries, in the sense that how we apply practically everything that we have learned, that we have studied. And especially in 2020, as Saturn went anaretic, it means the very last degrees of its sign, we could see that a lot of pressure was placed on professionals, those who dedicated their lives to a career. And naturally politicians, leaders, everything that has to do with representation, officialities. So basically, they were the stars of this year, some in a positive way, some in not such a favorable way, because we also had at the very beginning of this year the meeting of Saturn and Pluto in the sky, a conjunction which was even rarer, because last time it happened was around 500 years ago, and it coincided with the reformist spiritual movement, which kind of changed the religious landscape and the distribution of power, who held the power. Until that moment in time, it was the Pope. So it changed everything in our world forever. And this year, well, it brought forth this COVID situation and all of the global crisis, and Jupiter entering in the same sign, so in Capricorn, it just expanded, it amplified, it magnified all of this multifaceted global crisis. Regardless if we look at its physical nature, as in the illness itself and the death toll, so to speak, Pluto is, after all, the planet of transformation, and death is one of the expressions of that transformation. But there is also the social instability, all of the conflicts, all of the protests, people taking onto the streets and fighting for their rights. That is also an expression of an ongoing celestial dance which affected all of 2020. So Aries, the goddess of discord, has been squaring Pluto all of this year, and then in the autumn, Mars entered his home sign of Aries and formed a conjunction with Eris, in mythology his sister, and both of them squared Pluto. So that was a really, really strong energy of rebellion, of protest, individuals, so Aries against the government, against the collective, Capricorn. And this is one of the big reasons why this great conjunction is so special, because it places the energy for the next 200 years predominantly into air elements, starting with the sign of Aquarius, one of the finest representatives of an air sign. So basically, it also closes this 200-year-old cycle where everything was about earthly matters, so to speak, so money, finances, the social hierarchy, and of course the use and implementation of technology. Of course, all of this has a legal side to it, because earth elements also represent the rules, regulations, the law, the legislation, the traditions, the customs, which basically hold society together. And if these laws and rules and customs and, everything is meant to protect and is built around an earthly energy, well then, it is very clear that it is going to give birth to a lot of problems and inequality from a material perspective. So this great conjunction represents a shift from that earthly power onto air. And air means the intellect. Air means communication. It means the highest functions of our cerebral activities. Everything that our intellect can accomplish. And also, the sign of Aquarius is closely linked to equality, equity, interhuman connections, community and the spirit of community, humanitarianism, mutual acceptance, tolerance, freedom, but accomplished in such a way where one can be distinctive and one can embody their individuality. So everything that makes them different, everything that sets them apart, without this individuality representing a problem or a blockage, it does not go against being also part of a community, being equal to other people, and accepting the differences and individuality of others, and of course forming alliances with others based on a common purpose, a common goal, a common ideal, where those ideals and those principles are perfectly attuned to the highest values of what a human being can represent. So everything will be meant to protect and be built around the human element, which also means that how we perceive our unity as a species is going to, let's say, perfect itself, become its most truest and most authentic expression. And if material things don't get in the way, that means that this is such a big and huge opportunity for all of us, both individually and the species, to grow, to evolve, to tap into the very, very best that nature and the universe has invested into us. Even though, of course, this doesn't mean that there are not going to be a lot of challenges and it's going to be easy, yet still, because of that 0 degrees, it's going to be something so new, so different, so revolutionary, that almost everyone alive today, everyone who steps into this new era, this new age, will have their own unique roles to play. Another reason why this great conjunction is going to be so special is because it's going to be visible in the night sky. So their conjunction is also going to perfect itself in a very visual manner. Of course, in physical reality, that doesn't mean that Saturn and Jupiter are going to be on top of each other, but that is how we are going to see it from down here, from Earth, and this will be most visible around the 24th and 25th. Their union will look like a very, very bright and bigger Jupiter in the sky. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time they put up such a visual show was 800 years ago, and that also makes it pretty rare. And when a celestial dance is this visible, it is this obvious to the naked eye, so to speak, well, that also means implicitly that its energies, that its effects, that its influence is that much stronger. Because, it's visible for a big reason. It's visible to give us a sign. Even to those people who might not even know anything about astrology, or who might not even know what Jupiter or Saturn is, but they can still look up in the sky and see something rather unusual, something that they don't see every day. And this is how the universe basically lets us know that something big is coming, or that a very powerful change is imminent. Now, last but not least, the date of this event is also very relevant, because it takes place on the 21st of December, which is the day of the winter solstice. Now, solstices and equinoxes are extremely powerful from a metaphysical perspective, from an astrological perspective, because it means that the veil between the worlds is especially thin. And if we take into consideration that we just recently had a solar eclipse, which makes it even thinner than usual, we can anticipate that we are in for a very powerful, energetic bombardment, so to speak, where basically the divine architecture, whatever the divine is guiding us towards, enters our reality, our plane, our earthly sphere, like a massive tsunami, so to speak. And even if we don't look at the metaphysical aspects of this, well, the winter solstice is important for everyone, symbolically, because regardless of our beliefs, well, it still opens the cycle of the next 3 months. So basically the winter season. So regardless of what we believe in or how we perceive this, in collective consciousness, it is basically the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. So all of these are reasons why this year's great conjunction, the meeting of Saturn and Jupiter in the sky, is really, really special and very rare. All of us alive here today have never ever experienced such powerful energies, such a massive change of times. Not even those among us who have the age requirement to have lived through more than one great conjunction in our lifetime. Now, the core symbolism of this great conjunction, I think it is something that all of us have heard of, read of, became aware of so very many times during these last couple of years. We are talking about the age of Aquarius. And according to some astrologers and some specialists, it is actually the great conjunction which quantum leaps us into this age, while according to others, it will only be in 2024 when Pluto also moves into the sign of Aquarius. But regardless, this is when this is when the door opens up for us as a collective, so at least we can perceive and gaze into the future, what awaits us. This is when all of us have to be constructing it, when we have to build it together. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the tarot, I can give you a very symbolic example of what we can expect in the next 20 years, of what this great conjunction actually means for all of us. Well, if we look at these past couple of years, especially 2020, as the Tower card, a card which symbolizes the destructive force of Mars, that divine lightning, striking down our towers, our sense of normality, bringing the crisis, bringing the upheaval. Well, it can symbolically be interpreted as the COVID situation, as the political problems, as the social mistrust and insecurity, and naturally all the social distancing and this very unusual situation that all of us had to get accustomed to, basically. Because it wasn't just a big collective tower that was being struck down, but it was also our own personal towers, our value systems, our life principles, our normality, so to speak. So everything was changed, whether we liked it or not. So this was what has been taking place until this point. But what is the tarot card which follows the tower? It is the star card. And the star is the symbol of renewed hope. It is the symbol of the future. It is the expression that out of the ruins, out of the debris, out of everything that has crumbled, something new is born, like the phoenix rising from its ashes. And ironically, the star card is also the tarot correspondent of the sign of Aquarius, so the sign of the future, the sign of hope, the sign of our dreams, our wishes, our goals, everything that we wish to experience in the future. In other words, whenever we lose something, the universe has to replace that with something totally new, something which is the highest, the newest, the next expression of what we lost. Or it can be something totally new, something totally new and revolutionary, something that we have never thought about before. And 0 degrees of Aquarius is very symbolic, because the tarot card associated with 0 is the Fool. So the Fool represents a totally new journey, where we lack the experience, where we set out to conquer new territories, something unexplored, something unperceived, something which was inconceivable before. So basically, that means that we also have the innocence, we also have the courage, and the beginner's luck to go with it, which compensates our lack of experience. And the Fool is also the symbol of Uranus, and Uranus is the ruling planet of Aquarius. And this can also give us the hint that things can change, let's say for the better. Solutions can enter our lives in an instant. It doesn't have to be long years of hard work. It doesn't have to be years of research, years of struggle. That is very much Saturn. That is very much the earth element, where we just have to put in the work, the effort, the blood, sweat and tears. Uranus is totally different. Uranus is like the visionary. Uranus is like the genius. When the little light bulb just lights up inside our minds and we get that epiphany, that revolutionary new idea, well, in an instant something new is born, because what we think is ultimately what we manifest. And at the same time, Uranus is transiting the earth sign of Taurus, so it revolutionizes, it changes, it transforms and upgrades all of our value systems. Even in their physical expression, may that be money, how we manage money, the banking systems, what we hold as high price, what we put our sense of value into. But at the same time, it's also psychological, our self-worth, what we define as valuable inside of us. It also means spiritual, for example, whereas traditions and customs were highly treasured, if we can use the symbolism, in the past, maybe we are entering an age where it is the new, the revolutionary, which goes against customs and traditions, which will have the highest value. And of course, all of this is written in the stars, because all throughout 2021, especially in the first quarter, Uranus, the modern ruling planet of Aquarius, and Saturn, the ancient ruling planet of Aquarius, are going to be holding a conversation of tension, a square. So that means that Uranus, symbolizing the new, the next, the revolutionary, the future, will battle the customs, traditions, everything that was before, so Saturn. And out of these two planets, which are really, really powerful energies, both of them, in their own accord in astrology, it is still Uranus, which is the more powerful planet. So without a doubt, it is going to be Uranus which gains ground and which wins that symbolic battle of the planets, which we are going to experience as a lot of different ideologies, principles, solutions to our problems appearing on the world stage, and they're going to be debated, they're going to be analyzed. Some of them naturally are going to be contested, and some of them might spark controversy, outrage. But this is where the symbolism of Saturn, the rules, traditions, the way we always used to do things, well, those are also going to be contested. Those are also going to be opposed. So it's definitely going to be a middle path where the traditions, everything that Saturn symbolizes, have to upgrade themselves and integrate the symbolism of Uranus, so the next, the new, the revolutionary, the most ingenious ideas, in order for them to survive and to be integrated in something which can truly govern society and its principles. Now, without a shadow of a doubt, this age of Aquarius also represents a massive revolution, a massive upgrade of technology. Without a doubt, technology is going to gain new ground. It will be part of our everyday lives more than ever before. But let's hope that this is the kind of technology which also respects the demand of Saturn in Aquarius, so that it serves our greatest good. It serves humanity's highest purposes and not goes against them or damages nature, damages our world, etc. And of course, Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, transiting the sign of Taurus until 2026, is also very relevant, because this will ring alarm bells that our technology has to one way or another respect our Earth, our planet. It has to serve everyone's highest good. So that means our generation, but future generations, and the children and the successors of future generations as well. So this goes out for the long-term future. And Taurus does symbolize the earth, the physical earth, Mother Earth, nature, the crust of the earth, and of course from where we get our nourishment from. So by 2026, technology will be much more eco-friendly, so to speak. So even though there is a massive quantum leap technologically, this is where things which were once sci-fi, which appeared to us, seemed to us totally inaccessible, something that humanity would have to work for hundreds of years to accomplish technologically, are all of a sudden, without any warning, going to enter our awareness, either as groundbreaking scientific discoveries, either as observations or new theories about cosmology, or new ways that the internet can improve our lives even more, or let's say improve our lives in a much healthier way. Regardless of how this big quantum leap in technology enters our sphere of awareness, enters our reality, well, it is going to change everything. And I strongly believe that for the better. The last time humanity went through a great conjunction period in Aquarius was in the Renaissance era. So how greatly that changed our lives, how greatly that changed the world, all of the customs, all of the traditions that have been keeping the world and human collective in place until that moment. Well, it was like a massive awakening when the rationality, when the light of our intellect became the greatest value, and it did steer us away from the Dark Ages, well, we can experience the same theme playing out once more, but in a very unique way. Now, of course, some of what this involves is definitely going to be constructed, built over the next 20 years. So some of these things are going to be a slow but steady work in progress, where we evolve, we revolutionize something each and every day, little by little. But other things, the sign of Aquarius is full of surprises. Some of those things which are massively going to change our lives and our sense of normality can enter our sphere of awareness in an instant, like a lightning bolt, like a shock. And also, from a metaphysical perspective, Aquarius is mind over matter. So that means when a really great idea, when a big epiphany, when a big future vision or a goal or a dream is born, regardless if the author is one single human being or if it's a collective, well, as soon as the thought is born, its physical manifestation one way or another is going to follow shortly. Now, individually, how we can perceive this great conjunction is quite simple. Whenever Jupiter and Saturn meet in the sky and they form this conjunction, this has the power to basically upgrade our perceptions, upgrade the way we experience life. This is going to be very, very important because it is going to open up our senses and the capacity of our mind to process things which we might have struggled with in the past. It might simply push us out of a certain kind of way of thinking or a mentality so quickly that we might not even realize the moment when it happens that everything in our lives, in our realities have changed because the way we see things, the way we experience things has internally changed. Very many astrologers out there consider that this great conjunction is one way or another upgrading our mental spheres. So it will open us up to certain frequencies which are basically totally alien to us. We never perceived them, we never used them, they were never part of us. So when our perceptions change, when the way we process and analyze reality changes, well, then everything in life changes because the way we operate internally has went through a change with or without our express knowledge. And because this is such a very influential energy shift, not just because of the astrology, but also because of the winter solstice and then the eclipses and everything that has been taking place in the very, very recent past, a lot of people are going to feel this change, feel this shift. So if you experience very unusual states of being, if you feel a little bit anxious, nervous, or excited, or some people a sense of bliss or serendipity in a very intense way, know that it is just these energies playing out in the sky that are responsible. For the immediate future, as in for the next couple of weeks and months, this great conjunction is very beneficial to those people who have been really, really struggling the past 3 years with material problems, finances, their career, their job. They have been experiencing very many blockages with their business, with their work, the state of flow, everything like that. Because Saturn in Aquarius takes on a totally different expression than it did in Capricorn. In Capricorn, according to the ancient astrologers, Saturn is very tough, it is very strict, it is ruthless, it demands sacrifice, it demands work, it demands extreme responsibility, sense of duty, diligence, and whenever those are missing, whenever we cannot fulfill its conditions, while it tends to really pull the hand of fate, it really tends to conjure up a karmic storm, which kind of teaches us all these lessons, and how symbolic all of this was for the world leaders and the big corporations, the governments, etc. They did have a lot of power, they did hold everything in their hands, but at the same time, they had to take responsibility whether they liked it or not. And this could have played out in our own personal, individual lives as well, as in where we are the leaders of our own lives, so we had to take responsibility for everything good and bad in it. And at the same time, Pluto in Capricorn, that was all a big psychological purge, where everything buried in the past kept resurfacing, reappearing for us to confront it and work with it. So it was a really, really tough energy where it could have posed a lot of blockages for us individually as well, for everybody in a different area of life, for everyone in a different way. But the blockages, the standstills, the big obstacles, and the massive karmic lessons and all the sacrifices were there for all of us one way or another. But fortunately, this can change because Saturn in Aquarius is much more beneficial. It serves our individuality. It protects our sovereignty. It protects our rights. It protects our equality. Basically, it acts like a protector of society, and in order for society to be okay, to function in a healthy way, the individuals that compose it also have to experience life and equality and everything in the same way. So for a lot of us, this energy can actually be like a very powerful impulse, which finally guides us and steers us to breaking free from the old patterns, from the stagnations, finally overcoming our obstacles, finding a new goal, a new purpose, new hope, new dream for the future, and of course, desiring to experience it. And since society is definitely going to undergo a profound change very quickly, for example, like the year 2021 is already going to implement a big part of those changes. So when society is going to be different, the social climate is going to be different. Well, that means a new chance to find our ways, our places, our connections, our own sense of normality within this new and reformed society. So this can represent a powerful new beginning for all of us. And if you have been one of those people who might have lost their jobs, their business, their career has ended recently because of the COVID situation and the restrictions, well then there might be a powerful karmic reason for it, because something totally new, something totally revolutionary maybe awaits you after we pass through this new era. Things can still be quite tough and challenging until the end of spring next year, but solutions, or at least ideas, new goals, new plans, something new is also bound to enter into our lives, giving us something to work with. And after the second half of next year, things are going to improve dramatically. Which means that many of us are already going to be immersed in our new lives, our new sense of normality, into what this new paradigm brings for us personally. Also, at the time of the Great Conjunction, Venus is going to be holding a minor astrological conversation with Uranus, as I said, the modern ruling planet of Aquarius, so we might see a lot of surprises. It might conjure up surprising, shocking, unexpected twists and turns of events in our life stories. But emotionally speaking, whatever might happen might be a little bit outside of our comfort zone, because that is basically Uranus in Taurus. It requires us to step out of the ordinary, the usual. It may sometimes require us to take a minor risk or have blind faith and courage to take a leap of faith. Of course, there are still so very many things to be said about everything this great conjunction can potentially create in our lives, regardless if it's individually or as a collective. But I'm not going to be speaking about anything else, because 0 degrees of Aquarius also implies that it's going to be something new, never experienced before, so it's unforeseeable. You cannot basically anticipate it. Yes, Uranus is the ruling planet of astrology and being able to anticipate the future, but 0 degrees is something which has to surprise us, and it is something that we are not experienced with. So it doesn't matter how much we speculate, how much we try to prophesize what is about to happen. No one can simply tell for sure how, when, and why, even though there are a lot of prophecies, visions, theories, predictions out there, and it is absolutely normal, so to speak, because we do live in a multi-dimensional reality, which means that some patterns, some quantum entanglement elements are more likely to be playing out than others. But at the same time, if, 0 degrees, a big new beginning, an unexpected turn of events, a celestial divine surprise is written in the stars, then it is more wise to just wait and see what happens. As long as we are open to the new, as long as we know that something is being born in front of our eyes, that we are living it, that we are experiencing it, so it's happening each and every second as we progress towards the future, well then it is wiser to just live the now, to experience the moment, rather than to dwell into the future, which is absolutely uncertain, regardless of how skilled we are in our predictions, in our foresight, in our ability to predict the future. When the divine wants to surprise us with something, especially if that something is positive, it is helpful, useful, it is sure to keep it a surprise until the divine clock, the divine mechanism, so to speak, is ready, is in position to manifest it. And also at the time of this conjunction, Neptune, a planet which is also associated with illusion, with half-truth, with a very subjective perception, impression, also squares the nodes of the moon, especially the north node in the sign of Gemini, which kind of means that we don't know really anything. We don't really know what's truly going on. We don't have all the information that we need. And as in when I say we, no one. So it's all a question and a matter of what we choose to believe. Because, in a very objective way, we just don't know. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what is about to happen. And we don't even know which information or source of information we can trust. So it is much better to basically focus on whatever we hold deep inside of us, whatever we perceive, even if it's subjective, and just try to stay detached and observe everything as an onlooker and just try our best to process everything that we observe, try to make out what it means for us personally. Well, this concludes this special horoscope. I do hope that you found it useful. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, bye for now.